Hey guys, and welcome to Gentlemanly. You're listening to me, Troy Francis. I've mentored thousands of men all across the world in dating, desire, and personal power, from London to Bogota to Miami to Warsaw and back again. This isn't a podcast about pickup. It's not therapy. It's about truth, style, and the mythic art of remaining dangerous long after most men fail. So, today we're going to be talking about balance. Forget balance, choose obsession. Average men chase balance. Great men go all in. Balance is for accountants. You want greatness? Get obsessed. Okay? So look, balance is bullshit. Balance is the modern man's excuse for mediocrity. And by the way, when I'm talking about this, we could be talking about any number of different things. Okay? Ostensibly, this podcast is largely about dating, which is the area that, I came up through in terms of my content, relationships, and so on and so forth. And, the truth is, if you want to get good at dating, if you want to get good at social skills, which is what we really teach, then you need to throw balance out of the window for a while, and you need to get a lot of practice in. That's the truth of the matter, okay? And most men, sadly, although they say they want to do it, they're not really willing to do it. Anyway, we'll put that to one side. Balance is our excuse for mediocrity. It's a word that sounds good on a mindfulness app, but it kills momentum. And this is the point, isn't it, right? We live in this modern world where everything is being dumbed down and watered down. And in school, you get a trophy just for participating, okay? There are no winners or losers anymore. We are moving away from the notion of a meritocracy in society, and we are moving towards this sort of much softer thing where everybody is valid, and whatever you do, you're still a winner, etc., etc. It's nonsense. It's bullshit, okay? People buy into it because it's convenient and it sounds good, and they can virtue signal when they talk about it. But in the real world, it doesn't make a difference, okay? Because in the real world, and I'm talking about how women feel about men, and I'm talking about how other men feel about you as a man, they don't give a shit about whether you've had a balanced life. They only want to see the results, okay? So balance is for losers. Most men who chase balance aren't managing greatness, they are avoiding it, okay? It could even be, you might argue, a self-destructive tendency, perhaps. It could be self-destructive, right? You could actively be trying to hold back your own potential by this idea that you need balance, okay? The second point is this: obsession is power, all right? All greatness begins with obsession. Every athlete, every artist, every leader has been completely obsessed with their craft. Think about Elon Musk, right? Sleeping on the floor of his factories, okay? Why did he need to do that? He didn't need to do that. Why would he do that? Why didn't he go and stay in the Ritz-Carlton or his apartment or something? He slept on the floor in his factories, okay, in pursuit of his goals. Think about the writer Thackeray, who, once he finished a novel, would immediately, the same day, start work on the next novel, okay? Think about Charles Dickens, who would walk the streets of London for hours and hours every night, looking for inspiration and thinking of ideas for his writing. Okay? Anybody who has got good at anything has been obsessed with that thing to the exclusion of almost everything else. And this is where it gets really important, because sometimes in our lives we have to make very hard decisions. And these are decisions between the head and the heart. Because the heart may pull us in one direction. I want to spend more time with my friends. I want to spend more time with my romantic partner. I want to spend more time with my family, okay? But what is the head telling us? Well, the head is telling us, well, if I do that, I lose 5 hours that I could have spent working and making more money. or working and improving my craft or improving my art or creating something great. Okay? And in the end, that's the crux of the decision that each of us needs to make. Are we here to create something great, whether that's for monetary gain or not necessarily, it doesn't need to be, but are we here to create something great and actually make meaning in our lives? Or are we here for balance and well-being? And there's this whole trend, isn't there, for wellness and, you know, making sure you get enough sleep and all that kind of stuff. And I don't disagree with that. I'm not saying don't. I think sleep is actually very, very important, and I think sleep aids productivity. So I'm not saying to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I am saying that we live in a society which is, conspiracists would say deliberately, I don't agree, but is softening us up, quite frankly, you know? And not only society, but closer to home, members of your family, people that you know, will say to you, oh, stop working, Troy, you know, take a night off, you've been working all day, stop doing that stuff, you can do it tomorrow. And they have your best interests at heart. This is the thing, they love you. It's not like they're doing it from some sort of evil or in some way to damage you. They're doing it because they care about you genuinely, but what they don't realise is that actually they're enabling a behaviour that ultimately is going to hold you back. Okay? Because, as I said, obsession equals power. Obsession is focus with fire. All right? And the world rewards men who go all in, and it punishes dabblers. Now, my friend, the late, great Tom Torero, had an expression, actually I don't know if he came up with this or not, but he had an expression, you can't be half a gangster. And what he really meant by that was, look, you're either going to go all in or you're not, okay? And at some point in your life, in fact, probably at many points in your life, this will happen probably at several key points in your life. You are going to have to make a decision as a man, am I going to go all in or am I not? And that could mean all number of things. I mean, it could mean, you know, to play the other side of this, it could mean, am I going to go all in on this relationship and get married and we're going to have kids and we're going to have a family and that's my path, okay? That for you might be going all in. But equally, it might be, well, am I going to spend less time with these people who are a bit of a time sink and they just sit around the bar and drink all day, and I'm going to spend 10 hours a day writing my novel, or I'm going to spend all this time coding, or I'm going to spend all this time working on an AI program that's going to do X, Y, and Z, or I'm going to build this business, or I'm going to contact, you know, I'm going to call 150 potential investors a day, or whatever it is, right? And that's probably going to happen to you several times in your life. You're going to come to this crux in the road where you're going to have to make a decision. And it's not for me to tell you what to do. Well, the implication of this podcast, I am telling you what to do, which is to lean into the obsession. But in the end, it's your life. You're going to do what you want to do. But if there's a hope of greatness, right, if there's any hope of greatness, then the greatness lies in the direction of obsession. It doesn't lie in the direction of comfort, all right? So, yes, you could say, well, all that's great, Troy, but not everyone's Elon Musk, not everyone's Charles Dickens, not everyone's Nietzsche, right? Not everybody is, I don't know, who else is successful? You know, a great NBA player or Bruno Mars or whatever, right? Or The Weeknd, or right? Not everybody is ever going to reach that level of success. Well, okay, fine, maybe not. That's correct. Statistically, that is true. But if you're going to have any hope of doing it at all, then the most likely way of you getting there is by being obsessed, not by not being obsessed and half-arsing it. Does that make sense? So once again, you've got to weigh up the kind of like, well, do I want to take this shot or do I not want to take this shot? And if you don't take the shot or you half-arse the shot, the likelihood is the ball's not going to go through the net, okay? If you really go for it and go all in, the ball still may not go through the net, but there's a greater chance that it will, okay? You know, we only have one life. These are not decisions for me to make for you. These are decisions for you, but hopefully this is getting you thinking. We actually, again, bring this back to dating. We talk about this in terms of dating. So we were recently doing this boot camp in Brazil, in Rio. We were teaching guys. And some of the guys, obviously the first thing that you need to do is go and talk to women, right? You need to go and talk to the opposite sex and be social, okay? Hey, listen, I saw you. I like your style. I wanted to come and say hello. get into a conversation, right? That's the basic level thing that you need to do, okay? It's better to go direct and own what you're doing. It's better to go in and say, hey, listen, I saw you look really attractive. I knew I'd kick myself if I didn't come and say hi, so hello, my name is Troy, right? A lot of guys will get over the initial fear of doing the approach, but they won't really put themselves into it. They'll kind of half-arse it, if that makes sense. They'll go in and they'll say something that's a bit bland or a little bit vanilla. They won't really put themselves on the line. And the reason they don't really put themselves on the line is because mentally, then, if the girl rejects them, they can think, well, I didn't really put myself on the line, so okay, I can let myself off the hook. But the point is, if you're going to get rejected, you might as well go all in, right? You might as well go down in flames. You might as well stop her and just be really, really powerfully, just own the fact that you like her and you wanted to talk to her. And look, I don't normally do this, but you are gorgeous. You are amazing. There's something about you. I had to say hello because otherwise I knew I would regret it. And that's why I'm here. And if you don't like it, that's fine. Have a great day. You know, we're two strangers passing in the night. It's no problem. But for that 1 second, for that one moment of the approach, I'm genuinely going to put myself on the line. And this actually is what Mark Manson talks about in Models when he talks about vulnerability. It's actually vulnerable, funnily enough, to authentically go up to a woman that you don't know and express your attraction to her. Now, she might not reciprocate those feelings, you know, and that's fine. But you are, in doing that, you are making yourself vulnerable. So we often decry the idea of vulnerability in the men's online space because it seems weak and blah, blah, blah. And in certain ways it can be. I mean, you don't want to be crying on her shoulder every night, but the vulnerability of going up to somebody you don't know and presenting yourself as a potential option, a romantic option, is vulnerable and it is powerful. Okay, it's vulnerable and it shows your power and your masculine power at the same time. There's a paradox there, okay, but there's a lot of paradoxes in this stuff, so something to think about. Think about your own life for a minute. What have you achieved without full immersion? And then think about the things when you have achieved something, like maybe the gym, or maybe something in your dating life. You know, you pursued this girl, you did it in the right way, you won her affections, and you guys ended up dating. You had an amazing relationship. It could be something to do with your business. You know, you decided to go all in. You decided, right, I'm gonna 10x my sales calls, and I'm really gonna make this work, and it's do or die. Okay, think about that, and then consider that that's really where the results come from. The results don't come from half-arsing it and sitting around and thinking about it and theorizing it. The results come from actually doing it. Now, there has to be a leap of faith here, and Hormozy talks about this actually in a business context. There has to be a leap of faith, because are you definitely going to make it? Are you definitely going to become a billionaire or date a supermodel? No. In fact, probably the odds are against you. But we have one life. Okay, we have one life. And once again, the decision is, well, am I going to give this damn thing a go or am I not? And if the answer is I'm not, I want to settle for a comfortable life and what I'm terming mediocrity here, then that is a valid decision, right? That is okay. I'm not going to criticize you, because I can't talk to you because I'm talking to a camera, so I don't even know you. But, you know, it's like that's fine. That is a decision. It's a valid decision. You can make that decision if you want. And a lot of people do. Let's be honest, probably most people do make the decision to be like, well, I'm going to have a fairly normal, relatively mediocre life, but I'm going to try my best to be happy, and I'm going to, you know, do the things that most people in society do, and I'm going to get the same results as most other people. And that's okay. And that's okay. But just recognize, you know, this isn't a podcast about being an ordinary normie guy, right? This is a podcast, as I said, about power and about success and about being the best possible version of yourself you can be in the extremely short period of time that we have on this planet. So on that basis, leaning into obsession is the right thing to do, I would argue. Okay? There is a myth or a lie about the well-rounded man, okay? The Renaissance man, the man who's the jack of all trades, who can do everything and anything and can spread out and be the master of all trades. Now, once again, Hormozy talks about this in terms of business. As you can tell, I'm a bit of a Hormozy fan at the moment, so although his stuff isn't related to what I talk about so much, there's a lot of parallels, actually. And one of the things he talks about with entrepreneurs is he says, if I meet an entrepreneur, and obviously he meets a lot of people who come up to him in public and say, hey, I've got this business and blah, blah, blah. He said, if I meet an entrepreneur and the guy says, yeah, I'm running 3 businesses at the moment. We've got like a crypto thing going. We've got an Airbnb rental company, and we've got a digital product company or whatever it is. He immediately knows that guy is not serious as an entrepreneur or is not experienced as an entrepreneur, because what you need to do is choose one thing and double down on that thing, right? And go all in on that thing. So even somebody like Leonardo da Vinci, was called the ultimate Renaissance man, even he had periods of obsession where he was just focused on one particular discipline, okay? And, you want a sharp edge, not a soft curve, right? And the way to get to that is to be completely obsessed with the thing that you're doing, to the exclusion of everything else. And in the end, this can become almost somewhat ruthless, right? You can become almost ruthless with this stuff. I watched the film The Apprentice about Trump the other day, and about Trump's relationship with Ray Cohn, who was his attorney and sort of an early mentor. I really enjoyed the film. I mean, I'm not going to get into politics here, but I mean, I don't really think it was a Trump hit piece as such. I think to me, it seemed pretty, a pretty good biopic of his early life and his relationship with Ray Cohn, and more of a psychological study than anything. But what I think really fascinated me about it was the amorality, really, of Ray Cohn and his philosophy. I tweeted about that. I've done some content about it already. And, Ray Cohn and indeed Trump, I mean, you could say, okay, you could say Trump has spread himself too thin because he's had lots of different types of businesses, but, ultimately it's all been based in real estate, and real estate has been the thing that he's been most successful in, and then latterly politics, okay. But Ray Cohn was, the way he was portrayed, was as a very obsessive, focused man. And there's a really interesting scene when Trump talks about the fact that he's going to get married. And Ray Cohn reacts very negatively to this news. Ray Cohn's like, oh, are you crazy? What are you talking about? And he goes actually down the route of arguing, well, marriage is a contract and you can lose 50% of your stuff and everything. But I sense that there was a little bit more to it than that. I sense that, well, firstly, Ray Cohn was gay, and so that might have played into it a little bit. But I think even more importantly is that Ray Cohn felt instinctively that Trump's focus would be compromised by getting married to this woman. And actually, the way that it's shown in the film, that doesn't really happen. But I think that's why Ray Cohn reacts so negatively when Trump tells him that he's going to get married, okay? And again, it's this idea of focus, and sometimes we have to make these... And the other key thing about the Ray Cohn character was just how ruthless he was. And sometimes we need to be ruthless in terms of the people that we spend time with, the 5 people you spend the most time with, the activities that we allocate time to, how we spend our lives, right? We get to, like society tells us to be well-rounded, to get enough sleep, to, I don't know, we could ignore all of it. None of it matters. You could do a Margaret Thatcher and you could have 4 hours sleep a night. You can work until 3 a.m. You can get up at 5 and you can work. You can, obviously if you've got a corporate job it's slightly different, but you get what I'm saying, right? We get to create, there's a lot of stuff that gets put around. and we buy into it. Like, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Is it? Well, we now all know, pretty much, that breakfast, and certainly any kind of sugary breakfast, spikes your metabolism, and then you get really, really hungry. And now intermittent fasting has become really popular. But for a long time, that meme, that idea, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, was believed by billions of people just because enough people said it. Well, a lot of people say, no, you need to have a well-balanced life. Does that mean they're right? No, it just means they're repeating something that they've heard other people say and they think it sounds good, okay? You want a sharp edge, right? You want to be known for something. You want to be dangerous at one thing, okay? And once again, think of Trump. Now, if you had to distill it down, and he does this in the film, the thing that Trump is really known for is the deal, the art of the deal, okay? And that has extended through his career as a real estate mogul, but also into his political career now as well. Now, you could argue, has he done a very good job of it? Let's not get into politics, but nevertheless, that is his obsession. That is his thing, okay? That is the thing that he's lent into, and he's lent into it at the expense of pretty much everything else, right? A man like Trump, and I'm not a Trump fanboy by any means, but a man like Trump is not somebody who's going to get sidelined or is going to be, not going to finish a piece of work because of some family commitment or something like that, right? He is somebody who knows what needs to be done, and he's going to do it with an obsessive nature, okay? And there's a lesson to be learned there. Your mission needs your madness, okay? So men are built to fixate. It's how we are. We win wars, we build empires, we write epics, okay? So don't tame it. Don't try and water yourself down, right? Instead, direct it. Take that obsession. Now, the last podcast I did, I was talking about addiction, and addiction with chemicals and behaviors to some extent is a very bad thing. But when you channel it right, it can be amazing. Right? I mean, if you channel an addictive nature into working out at the gym or building a business or writing a book, that could be epic, okay? And not every one of us is an addict, but I think we all have something of that in us, right? So it's about, we have a finite amount of energy, but we do have some energy, and we also have enthusiasm. So it's about finding out, okay, what do I love? What do I really want to make happen in my life? And then you've got to make the decision. Do I go all in, or do I not go all in? Okay? And once more, that's only the decision for you. I can't make it for you. But if you want to be mythic, you're going to have to go all in. There's no other option. Okay? So obsession is sacred fire. You have to learn how to harness it. What are the takeaways? Well, stop managing your energy. Okay? Start weaponizing it instead. I mean, David Goggins talks about the fact that when we think that we've really maxed out, we've probably actually only used about 40% of our energy, okay? So just think about that. Your capacity, and I'm speaking to myself as much as anyone, my capacity is far greater than I probably think, all right? So that's the first thing. The second thing to consider is that there's a version of you that's far further along than you are, okay? But he's only going to show up when you stop holding yourself back, because it's you that's holding yourself back. Now, again, to mitigate that, there are no guarantees here, right? We can't sit here and say, if you do X, Y, and Z, you're going to become a billionaire, or you're going to start dating supermodels, or you're going to own a yacht. Those things may not happen. But are you going to try? Are you going to go all in and try? Or are you not? Because if you're not, then it's definitely not going to happen. And once more, there's a parallel with dating, because if you go up and talk to the attractive woman, yeah, she might reject you, but equally, she might just like you. She might like the way you look, the way you dress, something about your vibe. She might be in a good mood that day. She might, just be looking for somebody. And you guys end up on a date, and you end up in a relationship. If you don't talk to her, you can guarantee that nothing's going to happen, okay? You can guarantee. Right, because women don't approach men, except it may be in a 0.0001% situation, right? But the reality is, if you don't take that action, if you don't go all in and take that action, it's not going to happen. You're never going to see her again. So, which is better? If I do that, I might fail. Yeah. But if I don't do it, I'm definitely going to fail. So isn't it better to play where the odds are slightly more in your favour? Get ruthless about what matters. All right? Let everything else burn. We've only got one go at this. We really have. We've only got one go at this. So let it all burn, okay? Think about what matters to you and lean into that and go all in. And this is me telling you to do this now, okay? So I hope you've taken something from this anyway. I think it's a fascinating topic. It's certainly something we'll return to in the future. And, you know, if you're tired of tinkering around and you're really ready to go all in with dating, your presence, your power, your persona, then maybe it's time that we talked, okay? I work with a few committed men privately. Or you could join the Gentlemanly Private Program I'm going to be launching very soon. And we're going to start rebuilding you from the inside out. Links are in the description, or you can just email me, troy@realtroyfrancis.com, or you can DM me on socials. Just let me know, just say mentor, or just write me a little note, let me know where you're at. Put your WhatsApp details in and we can have a chat. We can see how we can work together and we can figure things out for you. But remember, dabblers get crumbs. Obsessives build kingdoms. Which would you rather be?